Michael Rubin, thank you so much for joining in. Now, the Pakistani army chief threatened to take half the world down with us. That's what he quoted. If Pakistan goes down, your reaction to this nuclear rhetoric made on American soil by the Chief of Army Staff?
Pakistan is acting as a rogue state. Pakistan is basically, actually, 1, 2, 3, let me start over. Pakistan's threats on American soil are completely unacceptable. Pakistan is raising questions in many people's minds about whether it can fulfill the responsibilities of being a state or whether the time has come for it to end. In many ways, Pakistan's rhetoric, the field marshal's rhetoric, is reminiscent of what we've heard from the Islamic State and from Osama bin Laden. This should not stand. There is absolutely no reason anymore why the United States should consider Pakistan a major non-NATO ally. In fact, Pakistan may become the first major non-NATO ally to become listed as a state sponsor of terrorism on the same day. Pakistan should not be anymore a member of U.S. Central Command. The fact that U.S. generals did not walk out of any meeting with Asim Munir should be cause for resignation. Asim Munir should be persona non grata in the United States and should never again get an American visa, nor should any Pakistani official until Pakistan explains itself and apologizes.
You talked about U.S. officials, and their resignations. What message does the U.S. Inaction send to allies and adversaries when they provide a platform for such threats without consequences?
The message which the United States is sending is that we are not a worthy ally. Under Donald Trump in his second term, the United States has become Canada on steroids. The fact of the matter is, there is absolutely no excuse for tolerating such language, such threats, such nuclear rogue behavior, especially on American soil. Within 30 minutes of when Asim Munir made those comments, he should have been ushered out, taken to Tampa International Airport, and flown out of the United States to the Bahamas, to Cuba, anywhere, and the Pakistanis could pick him up from there.
Now, given Pakistan's terrorist support in the past and now these nuclear threats, why does the U.S. still engage diplomatically with Pakistan? And particularly, what really has changed under the Trump administration?
Well, first of all, it's becoming increasingly hard not to believe that Donald Trump has been bribed in order to turn such a blind eye to Pakistan. Whether that's come from Turkey, whether that's come from Qatar, whether that's come from Pakistan itself is unclear. But there are few other explanations to explain why Donald Trump has become so effusive to Pakistan, especially after the Pahalgam massacre. The United States also needs to be very cautious right now, because just like Pahalgam occurred, after Asim Munir threatened to cut the jugular, his rhetoric in Tampa, Florida, gives a green light to terrorists, some affiliated with the Pakistani military and the Pakistani ISI, to go rogue with their nuclear weapons. We're in a very, very dangerous situation, and I'm not sure that Donald Trump fully understands just how dangerous this has become because of his negligence or greed.
Well, you've been following all the developments lately between India and the United States. What drove the shift from viewing India as a strategic ally to Trump's more skeptical stance towards India? Is it just trade or something deeper is kind of cooking there?
Well, first of all, let's separate Donald Trump from the rest of the United States government. The Indian-U.S. relationship has been steadily building since George W. Bush across administrations. Second-term Donald Trump is the exception rather than the rule, but there's still very positive feelings and a desire for partnership in Congress, at the U.S. state level, and so forth. Or every state legislator, every American businessman who you talk to really wishes that they could apologize to India for the unexcusable behavior which we now see coming from the Oval Office. There simply is no excuse. There's also no logic. This is one of the reasons why I suspect that there's something going on in the background, because there is no coherent policy that could explain such an embrace of a blatant terror sponsor. And this embrace is only convincing Pakistan that it can, make its terrorism worse.
How do you see this all play out in the days ahead? Do you think if things work out between the Ukraine and Russia after this Alaska meeting between Donald Trump and Putin, the secondary sanctions that have been imposed on India, do you see that going? Do you see some trade deals happening in the days ahead?
Well, first of all, the short answer is with Donald Trump, change can happen instantly. And Donald Trump, like George Orwell in 1984, is not hesitant to rewrite history and pretend that what he said just a week ago on television cameras was never said at all. I mean, Donald Trump is basically not just the commander-in-chief, he is the airbrusher-in-chief when it comes to erasing inconvenient facts and his own past record. That said, first of all, while as a policy analyst, I personally wish that India did not purchase Russian gas, the fact of the matter is Donald Trump is wrong in his targeting of India in this case. First of all, the United States purchases uranium hexafluoride from Russia and other strategic minerals from Russia. The United States often talks about Azerbaijan and Azerbaijani gas as optimal because it bypasses both Iran and Russia. But if you actually look at Azerbaijan, much of the gas that goes through their pipelines is Russian or Iranian, and the Americans are purchasing it. So someone needs to tell Donald Trump that he's being a hypocrite here, and India is right to stand up for its rights and not to cower. In fact, I do believe that Donald Trump, once he is gone, that U.S.-India relations will improve. But the fact that we are suffering the stress test right now, with Donald Trump being gratuitously insulting to India, and the fact that Prime Minister Modi is standing up for India's rights, is going to be the episode that historians remember, where the United States truly learned that you cannot kick India around. Donald Trump in this case is wrong, and the United States will work through that. As Winston Churchill used to say, the Americans always do the right thing. They just try everything else first. And this is one example of that. Once this episode passes, I suspect that U.S.-India relations are going to improve significantly because the United States is going to learn that it needs to respect India and not take it for granted.
Right. And lastly, we've heard Donald Trump time and again talk about brokering peace between India and Pakistan. As an ex-Pentagon official, what is it that you're picking up from ground? What really played out there?
Well, first of all, Donald Trump is a businessman. And not just a businessman, he's a real estate mogul. So he's used to the horse trading and the back and forth. Morality doesn't come into play. Ideology doesn't come into play. This is what we need to understand right now when Donald Trump talks about making peace. He's making peace, but he just wants that signature on a sheet of paper. He doesn't, excuse me, he just wants that signature on a sheet of paper. He doesn't care about the quality of peace. What Donald Trump doesn't understand is that it's not the piece of paper that matters. It's the quality of peace. And a bad peace deal can actually advance war. This is Donald Trump's fundamental mistake. The other problem is Donald Trump very much has the ambition to win a Nobel Peace Prize. It may sound silly, but it's a fact. He looks at this as something which will show the world that he's better than Obama. He's better than Jimmy Carter. He's better than Bill Clinton. He really is a man with very, very little self-confidence. And what the Pakistanis, the Israelis, and now many others have done, the Azerbaijanis, the Armenians, they've played to his ego and convinced him that he truly deserves this. Unfortunately, India will pay the price as he puts his efforts into overdrive. Then again, the big problem with American peacemaking consistently, not only Donald Trump, is this. Americans look at terrorism through the lens of grievance. They believe that a grievance can be addressed with a diplomatic formula, a combination of bribes and concessions and so forth. They don't understand the ideological underpinnings of many terrorists. Asim Munir is Osama bin Laden in a suit. The fact of the matter is, there is no amount of concession that can be given to Pakistan that is going to change the ideology of Asim Munir or the Pakistani elite which he represents. This is why I'm saying that Pakistan is playing a very dangerous game. And while it may sound radical, the fact that Pakistan is now threatening half the world with nuclear weapons, it's threatening to blow up Indian dams and so forth, is an indication that Pakistan has lost its right to be a legitimate state on the international stage. It's time for the United States, if not under Donald Trump, then in future administrations, to consider other policies, whether the region would be more stable, for example, if the United States recognized Baluchistan, if it recognized other regions of Pakistan, and if Pakistan were allowed to collapse, because in reality, Pakistan is already a failed state held together with Band-Aids. And the fact is that if we do not manage its decline, Asim Munir is right. It could cause a nuclear war. What the lesson we should draw from Asim Munir's comments in Tampa, Florida, is that Pakistan is teetering, Pakistan is failing, and it needs to have international intervention for a managed decline. Just like SEAL Team 6 entered Pakistan to take out Osama bin Laden, it's coming near time when in a future administration, other SEAL teams should enter Pakistan to secure its nuclear weapons because the alternative is simply too great to bear.
All right. Thank you so much for talking to ANI as always, Michael. Really appreciate your time.
Hope it wasn't too radical. Thanks.